Electricast.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Welcome into Missing the Point. I'm Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan, joined by my guy DK Sizzle. And today's guest is a North Carolina and Boston Celtics legend. He was the 12th pick in 1977 by our beloved Celtics. He's a two-time champion, 1981 Finals MVP. You can now hear him on 98.5 The Sports Hub alongside with Sean Grandy. He is the host of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. So without further ado, Cedric Maxwell, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Well, thank you guys for having me. Anytime I can help, young podcasters out, man, I am more than willing. It's a great opportunity to get your platform out, get people to hear you, and get a good message out.
He can't help but be a great teammate, Ray. He can't help it. You see? That's just the way he is.
Exactly. Before we get into any questions, I wanted to share this story because you don't remember the story, but I remember it. So when I met you for the first time when I was 17.
Okay.
I met you at the Prudential Center. You just get some meat, so I didn't want to run up to you, be like, oh, it was a Cedric Maxwell, but I did end up saying hi to you. You was cool enough to say, hello back. So when I think about it now, I'm like, man, if you had told that kid at 17 that in his early 30s that he was going to be interviewing Cedric Maxwell, I'd have been like, get out of here. Like, I got a bridge to sell you. So this is a full circle moment for me, my mom who watched you in the past, my dad. So this is a great moment. Not just for me, for those that are going to watch it later on. So I'm really appreciative that you was able to come on because this is a full circle moment for me. So this is cool.
Well, that is what we do. It's just always passing down. The opportunity was given to me, and then you give it to somebody else, and that is always helping somebody else. It's like the car that is after you. Somebody just paid for you in the line when you were, and all of a sudden you find out, say, well, let's keep this thing going. I heard the gal on the reel do that and said, oh, how much is the car behind me? And the guy said, that would be $100. And the guy pulled off. He's like, oh, hell no. We're gonna stop this chain right now. So these are moments, but for me, this is really cool, to get on with you guys.
Cool. Yeah, so before we get into any current day stuff, I want to go back to your early career. So obviously, like I said in the intro, you're from North Carolina, and just how was the basketball scene growing up there in North Carolina, and just like who did you try to model your game after at that time?
Well, people in the neighborhood. I didn't really have any role models. I'm the first guy from my high school that came to the pros, but after me, my high school is a small 2A school, and it's developed quite a reputation. They said there's something in the water. Myself, Jerry Stackhouse, Brandon Ingram went to school there. Reggie Bullock went, and we had about 3 or 4 other people from my high school who went. But that's basically what we did. We were hoopers, man. We liked to hoop, and it didn't make any difference. It was, we didn't have the cold weather like here. So occasionally we have a cold day and the ball would be hard to bounce, but for the most part, that's in the backyard. My mom was a hooper. She played in college. Matter of fact, she dropped out of college and had me. She went to North Carolina Central with Sam Jones back in the 50s. So basketball has always kind of been in my blood. What people don't know about me is the fact that my junior year in high school, I got cut from the team. I did not make the team. And came back my senior year, and the coach asked me, the good thing was I was 6'3.5". And then over the summer, the coach asked me, was I coming back out for the team? I had grew 4 inches over the summer. So I was 6'7.5". My weight was 6'7.5". I weighed 162. So I was long and I was lean, but I was raw. And I love the game. And that year we played really well and went to state. And eventually I got a scholarship to go to UNC Charlotte and ended up here in Boston.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give Wembanyama some tips, huh? How to fill out a little bit, just or how to play that game, that long thin game.
Oh, that long thin game. He's fine though. He's,
Yeah, he is.
he's so, the thing about it, he's so athletic and he's still awkward. You don't see, sometimes you see the real fluid stuff, but then sometimes he looks like a baby giraffe. And you're like, man, he is all over the place. And like, it's amazing to me when I think it was Jokic, got him up in the air, faked him out. And then it literally turned and Jokic was shooting behind him. He turned, he was so athletic, he was able to block the shot still. So he's going to be a force. If he doesn't get hurt, he's going to change the way the game is played. And, you know, I think that especially bigs. And the thing I hate about basketball right now is that every young person out here who picks up a basketball, the first thing they want to do is shoot a three. The game wasn't meant to be played like that. The game is played right now that way because of the analytics of the game. But the game that I remember that we played during the 80s against the Lakers and the 76ers, and that was bump and grind. There was one picture I have of myself. It was seven, already 10 people on the court. There were 7 people under the basket. Now, get who was under the basket. It was Kareem, Magic, my good buddy Bob McAdoo, myself, Larry Bird, and Kevin McHale. We were all under the basket. You know how big the lane is now? You know how the game was played now? Everybody's spread out, you know, because of the three-point shot. But that was when the game was a lot more physical and a lot more challenging on that side because you had to bump and grind. You weren't getting no cheap baskets.
Do you think it's cyclical though? Do you think like we're going to get back to
you'll
see bruiser teams?
My friend, it will never.
No?
How are you going to go back and scoring less points? I know the NBA, I know the commissioner says, well, we got to do this and do that and cut down on it. How are you going to do that? Because you get more points for shooting that three, obviously, then you do it too. Obviously, the percentages are lower. I look at the great players that I played against or played with, Robert Parrish. How would he have to change this game? How would Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was one of the greatest players ever to play the game, how would he have to change his game? I had a buddy of mine, I played with Rayshawn one of my last years. And he asked Akeem, he was talking to him, he said, Akeem, how would you do in the game? He said, the game still would have to fit around me, Max. There still had, so I think, but the way the game was played, you know who was tailor-made for the game right now? Tailor-made for the game. Larry Joe Bird.
Yeah.
The way the game is played right now, everybody talks about Luka. Luka my ass. Like, you can tell me if Larry Bird couldn't do what Luka, and I admire, I think Luka's a great player, no doubt. But Larry had the ability to rebound, score, pass, and defensively, he made a lot of steals. Luka's not there yet from that standpoint. And Larry, remember, he dedicated himself to getting in shape. I don't think we've seen Luka in shape yet. I think Luka still got a little pudgy thing going, and he's going to have to get with it before he gets to be too old.
It's hard to get Larry Bird's mentality though, right? I mean, if you could put his mentality in anybody, I feel like they'd come in shape, ready to score, and maybe Larry's career would have been 20 years long or 10 years longer or something if he didn't have to bump and grind so much in the lane all day. If he could just stay out in the perimeter and just shoot, right? I mean,
maybe if he didn't smoke as many cigarettes, maybe
different time,
drink enough beer.
Yeah,
maybe.
I say the same thing about myself though. I think I would have made the league if I didn't smoke so many cigarettes. That's the whole.
I mean, you talk about the way the game is played. It is now it's more about nutrition and drinking water. Do you know during the 80s that each team had to give the other team a case of beer? Had to give after the game, you had to supply the other team a case of beer. And the Celtics, the beer in our locker room never went alone. It was always going home with Larry or Quinn or somebody who drank beer. So, and now the nutrition, Tatum and Brown, these guys have trainers. We had the assistant coach and the trainer and the head coach. It was 3 people. Now they're probably Joe Mazzulla's staff. He probably has about 5 or 6 assistants. There are 3 or 4 weight training coaches. There's a nutrition guy. There's there's a equipment manager who just deals with that. So the game has really changed from that standpoint of just the way the game is managed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we get a Steph Curry in the league back then, right? Because like I don't know if they can really manage like his ankles early, like his nutrition, like all that stuff. Like I just don't know if he makes it in the league if we don't have those like
Well,
advanced
he
sciences.
makes he makes it in the league, my friend.
Yeah, so I mean, talent wise, of course. I just mean like he came in
I'm
injured.
just saying there's only been a few people in our lifetime who have changed the way the game is played. Steph Curry and Wilt Chamberlain. The only 2 people who have changed. They changed the rules to fit Wilt in the game because they made the lane a lot bigger. They had a thing now where is if you shoot a free throw, you can't cross the line. Wilt Chamberlain, when he used to shoot free throws, he would take a running start, jump from the free throw line, and lay it in. So those rules have been changed to fit those guys were that good that you had to change the way the game is played. And Steph Curry was ability to knock down treys. That's completely changed the way the game is played. The analytics of the game now has taken over when you think that just some of the other stuff, just boldness, isn't there anymore.
Yeah. But don't you think some guys, even from like the era you played, like would have been able to adapt though? Like I think about guys like Mark Price. I think about guys like Craig Hodges. Like I feel like those guys would have been able to be even better, even more, infiltrated into the offense if they were able to shoot more. Obviously, your own teammate Danny Ainge was a good 3-point shooter. So I don't know. I just think that it's just you follow the trend, like you said. It's been analytics, so that's why it's math. 3 is more than 2. So I think that's just why I agree with you though. I think there's too many threes to be shot. Like when we're shooting 50, 60 threes a night, I think that's insane because 20 out those 60, you could have drove to the lane. Maybe you get fouled. And that's why you're playing basketball. But saying, "Oh, hey, corner pocket 3 or above the break 3," it's like it's cool, but it's like at the same time, if it's not going in, it's not looking good. Even if you shoot 20 or 50, that's 40%, which is great, but you missed 33s.
Well, here's what Dale Curry said, and this is Steph Curry's dad.
Yeah,
So I'm in Charlotte. I said, his son has changed the game, man. He has screwed up the game that I know. And he looked at me and he started laughing. He said, "You know what, Max, you're right." But he said there's a lot of 3 takers, but not a lot of 3 makers.
right.
And I think that he is so on point. I shot 30, and now right now, if you're shooting 38, 40% from the field, from the 3-point line, man, you would take that all day from any player.
Right.
During my particular era, man, you better be shooting 40, you better be shooting 45, 50, hell, 60% from the field if you were really going to play in the game to be effective. And I led the league in field goal percentage twice. So I understand the significance of scoring around the basket. But again, I'm not going to be the old man on the street saying, "Get off my line, you can't shoot threes." I understand that the game has changed. It's not. I don't even recognize half the game when I see it played anymore.
I mean, we're often the old man on the street on this podcast about the 3-point shot. I mean, I wouldn't blame you, but I mean, you take, for example, just the other night, or last night when we played the Rockets, right? We're looking at shots down the stretch. Jaylen Brown, obviously he's a fantastic player. Obviously you trust him with the ball in his hands, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to say with him and Tatum. He misses a couple of key three-point shots down the stretch. It's hard for me to not be yelling at the TV, like, just take it to the rim, Jaylen. Like, you're so efficient. Or like, I mean, of all people to be talking about this with, there was no one more no nonsense around the rim than you. And it just seems to be a lot of nonsense, like just a ton of nonsense when it could just be efficiency, because if he takes, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. Jaylen takes it to the rim, 2 out of the 3 threes he misses, he's probably finishing those, right? And then the game looks completely different down the stretch. So it's just like, it does get a little frustrating. It's not necessarily like, get off my lawn when you're just looking at it like, come on, man, just go to the rim. You're the most athletic guy out there.
You know what? But then you change that, and you look at where the Celtics played last year, and then you're going, whoa, everybody's going to have to catch up with their ability to knock down threes. I am amazed still when I see Porziņģis with that I don't even know the word. He's
Like a
flat
straight
footed,
line.
shooting the three, and he shoots darts.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, and people, you guys are talking about the Celtics right now. You know, there are a lot of things that happen. They haven't played as well, but I think we also have to wait to see when they get their full complement or their full lineup. And here's what's not going to happen: when Al Horford is going to play when you have during the playoffs, because there's no second night of back-to-backs. I happen to have to ask him about that, and I said, yeah. I said, this is one of the things that, you know, I said, Al, what do you think? He said, Max, he said, I'm ready. He said, I trained to play 82 games. I trained for that. He said, but they told me that, no, you're not going to play 82 because you're an older player. We need to utilize your legs. And said, I get it now. He said, I see how I feel, especially in the second half of the season, especially during the playoffs, because I'm a lot stronger. Let's look at the Knicks. Tom Thibodeau plays those guys like they're robots.
I think they might go scrimmage after games. It's crazy.
Like they're cyborgs. And after the game, then people wonder, it's like, I wonder why the Knicks are so beat up and they're so tired during the playoffs. I mean, you average 38, 40 minutes a game in the NBA, second half of back-to-back. Something, I always say this, either you give your body a rest or your body's going to give you a rest. And that sometimes happens. So the Celtics are trying to manage expectation. The defending champions right now, have they played as well? No, they haven't. But have they had the health that they had last year? I mean, every other game, you were trotting out pretty much the same people. Last night's game, a big example. Dillon Brooks gets 10 trays. Does he get that if Derek White is playing? So that's one of the things you look at this team, and I love Joe Mazzulla and his stance. Joe Mazzulla is staunch about his players and his belief in how the game is played. And, you know, like it, not like him, like him. He is a leader. And he and I were in the arena one day. I keep saying this stuff like I'm throwing it, but I was in the arena with him, and it was before a game. He walks around with his beads. I think they call rosary. Yeah, rosary beads. And he walks around the court like 10 times before game. And I was there early. He stopped in front of me and said, you know, Max, and we were talking. He said, you know what? I don't think I'm a great coach. I said, Joe, I don't think you're a great coach either. I said, I think, he said, I don't think I'm a good coach. And I said, Joe, I disagree. I think you're a great coach. He said, why do you say that? I said, because you're a leader of men in an era that you have a bunch of egos. You manage egos. And that's the hardest thing to do when you think about young players. It's like you see young players out there, if you guys ever coach or anything, what you gonna tell them? How do they listen? I mean, you guys look like you're not old enough to have kids like me, but I got young kids, and I can remember them looking at me like, later on, after they grew up, like, what do you know, old man? Well, what do you know? So yeah, I think that those things do happen.
Well, no, sweet, because you brought up the word expectation. I think that's great insight to what Joe Mazzulla is. I think that us as fans, because we weren't privy to that insight, you know, we were very, very critical of him at times, right?
Did you think he was going to win it last year?
Hold on. I'll say once they made the trades, yes, because when you bring in a guy like Holiday who had championship experience, and then what their vision was for Porziņģis, I was like, yeah, I was like, you guys, I was calm about that all year. The year before, I was like, I was going back and forth. But
how many times did you beat up Joe Mazzulla last year?
We beat him up a lot.
Oh, not a lot.
Not Ray. Not Ray, but I have to own up to it. I mean, Ray was pretty good last year, but yeah, we beat him up a good amount because it's stressful. Because like the thing is like you as a fan, what we saw was, I mean, look at who was coaching our opponents last night. We loved Ime because we thought he brought in this real Celtic mentality. You know, he brought us back to the days of playing staunch. You see how the Rockets are playing. They're playing way better than the sum of their parts, right? Like they're playing much better than the roster that they have. Not that they don't have talented players, but the Celtics talent should win out, right? Unless you got a guy defensively drilled, making hard cuts to the basket every time. Everybody's playing for him. Everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet. So when we lost Ime, we were kind of, I mean, Ray was calm, I'll admit, but the rest of us were a little bit like, oh man, I don't know, like that defense, the way he had us playing, the way he had those guys listening to him. But we eat crow now. I mean, Joe Mazzulla, he delivered. So it is what it is.
Yeah. But you even look at, and people talk about the Rockets team. That same Rocket team got beat by 25, almost 30 points. And now, obviously, they didn't have a couple of players, but I still think last night was it was a good game last night. It was
a
game that either one of the teams had to lose because I think the Celtics played well enough to win. Obviously, the Rockets shot out their ass from the 3-point line. Guys just killed it. Brooks. And I think it was
Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson. What they combined for 79 points, 70-something points.
Brooks had 36 and Thompson had 33, so it was 69.
Crazy.
That should not happen. And once again, I like him in Thompson. I think that he's going to be someone that's going to be good in this league for a long time, right? I didn't know he was that good of a scorer. I knew he was a hell of a defender. But Dylan Brooks should not be getting 10 threes. I don't know what it came like. That was
But that's why you have faith in this team over a 7-game series, right? Like we're in the dregs of January right now, and like once we get to, I don't subscribe to the theory of like, oh, they don't care because it's like they're just waiting for the playoffs. Like I don't think athletes think like that. I think they're hooping like they're trying to win every time they go out there. Like they play for the Boston Celtics. Like I just think that's a media narrative personally, but like you see Dylan Brooks have a night like that. He's not having 2 nights like that across 7 games.
Nope.
Like it's just not happening. So it's like we were pretty calm picking the playoffs last year. Some of the teams we were coming up against because of that fact. It's like, can you beat us over 7 games with the talent we have? So I wouldn't say we should be panicking right now. Like you're not, are you?
No, I'm not panicking. Matter of fact, here's the panic thing that I always do. Since I'm on you guys' podcast, I'll ask you a question. I ask a lot of people. I'm building Mount Rushmore in your backyard. You both guys give me 4 players, and it can be from different sports, that you put on your Mount Rushmore. And you're up first.
Me or Dave?
You, Mike.
So across sports?
No, it could be one sport if you want it to be.
Oh no, yeah, I'll keep it to basketball.
It could be a basketball. It can be. Let me give you mine. So then I want you to go. Oh man. Mine is. I went with Bill Russell.
Okay.
I went with Tiger Woods. I went with Michael Jordan, and I took the greatest female athlete of all time, Serena Williams. Those are my Mount Rushmore.
Should have let him go first.
No, I didn't want him to be out there. I didn't want him to be out there go, oh man, that wasn't right. That wasn't fair. Well, so we'll flip it. We won't let you go first. We'll let your partner go first since he said that. We'll put him on the spot.
I mean, I think you got to put Michael Jordan up there. I'll steal one of yours because
this is your Mount Rushmore. It can't be wrong.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. And then watch me be wrong. I have a talent for this. I gotta say, I'm a big soccer fan. I put a guy named Diego Maradona up there. He was an Argentinian soccer player from the 80s. I think he's sort of, if we're talking about changing the game, I think he's up there. I think Michael Jordan goes up there just because, I mean, that's the guy that when I was a little kid just blew my mind. Like I just couldn't believe. And when we moved to Chicago, like I was like, this is crazy. Like this is absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like this.
Okay.
I'd have to say probably Muhammad Ali. I definitely put him up there just because like that's the guy I was like trained on sports with. Like my dad would just tell me about him. He'd be like, if you want to see greatness, if you want to see any athlete achieve something that like, a level that somebody has never achieved before, how they do it, this is the blueprint, this is the rule book. It's going to be Muhammad Ali. Tiger Woods is a good one. I kind of want to steal that one too, but I think to round it out, I'm going to steal Bill Russell. I'm going to steal Bill Russell from you since we do a Celtics podcast. I think not only does he not get enough credit. I mean, you brought up Wilt earlier. Obviously, in Celtics circles, he gets a lot of credit. But I think anytime you can give that man like his flowers, and even from a lowly place as this, I will, because I think he did more than people talk about. So I'll take those.
He's do to me all the time. I see him, and the first thing he'd do me just like this. He'd give me the finger. I was like, dude, why do you keep giving me the finger? And his wife said, because he likes you. I'm like, but damn it, don't like me so much, Bill. Just, a damn hearty handshake is good for me. I did good. All right, how about your running partner? Let me see what he got.
So I got Jordan.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, just that I think he speaks for himself, his impact. Wayne Gretzky, I think was unreal. I'd go with Tiger because, like I said, what we see him do in golf, he changed everything. Everyone was wearing a red Nike shirt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. And then fourth, I'd go with more of a modern guy. I'd go with Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, I don't love the antics, but like I said, from someone, he gets in the ring, he delivers every time, or he delivered every time, I should say. So be my 4.
Okay. All right. Legit Mount Rushmore. Because I always tell people, I said when I ask them that, they can't be wrong. I had asked a reporter one time the same question, and he was on CNN. He took my question and asked Barack Obama, and I didn't get any credit. I was like, damn it.
Do you remember what he said?
Barack had pretty much the same ones I had. I think he went with Serena. He was, obviously he's a big Chicago person, so he loved the Bulls. I think he had Ali. I can't remember the last one he had though, but it was really interesting that just the people that he had and he talked about.
Serena's a good pick because if you start to think about like male tennis players, it's so era specific, and like did they play each other, all this stuff. Serena was the only one that just came in and blew everybody away, right? Like she just came in and killed everybody. So it's like it's kind of hard to dispute, honestly.
And it was crazy. Her sister could have been on there too if she had a much longer run.
Yeah.
Because Venus was the one that was dominating in this.
Venus was so damn strong though.
Mm-hmm.
She was a beast. She was like, I remember I talked to their dad one time, and I saw them. I did an event many years ago. It was Black Enterprise magazine used to have a celebrity golf and tennis tournament down in Miami, and I got a chance to see Serena and Venus when they were 10 and 12, and talk to their dad Richard. And Richard made the comment. He said, Venus is a beast. He said, Venus is a beast, but he said, Serena is a monster. It's just that because her drive to be the best, what had surpassed where he thought Venus would be. So yeah, he turned out to be right.
Yeah, that's crazy. So want to shift gears back to basketball. So like we mentioned, he was a part of 2 championship teams, obviously in 81 and 84. And it's always hard, to go back to back. So just when you think about those teams, like just what was so challenging in the moment to go ahead and try to make that repeat? Like
Health is one of the biggest things. I think that we had the talent to do it. We won in 84, and then in 85, I got hurt and I wasn't able to play. And I remember Magic Johnson, that's one of the few compliments I think I'll take from a Laker, said, we know you miss Max. We really knew you miss his attitude and his ability to score and kind of change the game. So
you're just giving it to him in that Game 7 the year before. So I think they missed you.
Hell yeah. But those were the times. Those were the battles. I can't even imagine. That game was, if you guys remember, that game was the 7th game in 1984, started at 9:00 at night. And so as a basketball player, as an athlete, it screwed my day up. Because normally what happens, you go to shoot around, you come home, you take a nap, you eat, and then you're ready to go to the gym. I did all that, and I woke up about 4:00. I still have 5 hours. It's like, what am I going? And I had my nephew was around. I was able to play with him, and that kind of just calmed me down because I couldn't even imagine myself driving. I used to drive from over in Brookline to the Garden. I couldn't even imagine myself in my car on Starro Drive, and for that particular game, oh my God, I would have murdered somebody. So,
you don't want time to think, right? You don't have time just to be in your head. You got to get out there.
Yeah, so that was something that was really surreal when I thought about playing the Lakers in 1984 in the 7th game here in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you brought up health. I mean, I was thinking, was there any difference between, because Bill Fitch was the coach when y'all won 81, right?
Bill Fish was on 81.
Yeah,
And
and it was, so
Casey,
was there a big
Casey
difference?
Jones.
Yeah, was there a
Casey
big
Jones.
difference between the two?
Casey Jones was there in 84.
Right.
So it was a different coaching style. Bill pushed the buttons a lot. And to the point, and God bless his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he pushed the buttons to the point where it didn't need to be pushed anymore. We were young players when we won our first championship. I think I was 25, Larry was 25, Robert was 26 or 28. I think Robert was 27, Mikhail was 21. So you had all those young players, and yeah, we could take his direction and do this, do that, do this, do this. But once you become an older player, instead of letting the reins go on your horse, you trust that that horse is going to take you home. You don't have to drill that horse. You say, okay, go home. And that horse says, okay, I'm going home. You don't have to go pull him this way and pull him that way. And that was the difference between two coaches. KC was a lot more hands-off. Bill was a lot more hands-on.
It's interesting to think about that, like in reference to what you were talking about with Joe, like managing egos, managing kids these days, like managing players to come in. Is it like, obviously different players need different coaching styles. Like some guys need an arm around the shoulder. Some guys need to get yelled at, whatever it is. Some guys are self-starters. Some guys aren't, whatever it is. I wonder, I mean, that team was so ridiculously stacked with talent. Like you listed all those names. These are all like legends in the game that we're thinking about. But like, do you think that the better the player is, the more you should leave him alone? Like, do you think that the Jayson Tatums and the Jaylen Browns of the world are going to be more hands-off coaching? You can't really tell him how to play basketball in today's day and age. Right?
I think in today's age, it might be more hands-on, considering that, the things that you have to do and the way the game has changed. I think it's a lot more. People say, well, it's not as physical. Well, the players, the athletes are a lot more physical. The Jayson Tatums at 6'9", playing the point like Magic did.
Yeah.
Those things don't happen. They evolve. So yeah, Jaylen Brown, if you see him, his workouts, he's kickboxing and the arms look like he's, Troy or somebody, Greek gods. So during the 80s, the thing that they didn't want you to do, they didn't want you to, this will shock you, they didn't want you to lift weights because they thought that weights would throw your shot off. So I look at Tatum and Brown before a game, they're lifting weights. After the game, they lift weights. And it's just like something we would not have done during my particular era because people frowned on that because they thought if your muscles got too big, you weren't going to have the flexibility. Now we know it's just the opposite. Because those muscles, the way they grow and the way you use them, you'd be so much better. So nutrition, the way the game is played, the analytics, there's so many things that are different. My Jayson Tatum story goes like this. He'd been here for probably about a year and he would speak to me like, hi, but I knew he didn't really know who I was. And he comes out one game a year later and he starts screaming. He's looking at me going, cornbread, cornbread, cornbread. And I said, what's wrong with you, dude? He said, I just saw that 30 for 30. I saw it twice, Lakers, Celtics. You were a bad motherfucker back then. I said, hey, who knew? So I think the history of the game sometimes with our younger players, they don't know the history or they don't see it as much. And, I love when I see somebody walking down the street and they might recognize me, but I love it when there was a guy told me, said, yeah, I know you. I have you on 2K. I play you're that Dark Max and you score all the points. I said, really? He said, yeah, I know who you are. And so it just is changed in such a big way.
It's interesting that you say that because, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but I do get a little old manny about how friendly all the players are with each other. You know, like the Jayson Tatums of the world, the Jaylen Browns of the world. Everybody's, you know, high fiving, dabbing each other up after the game. Everybody's hanging out, whatever. I didn't see you and James Worthy going to dinner. Is all I'm saying.
Never would.
You know, I don't know how you guys feel about each other now.
Would. Even today, I can't even imagine having dinner with somebody who's with the Lakers. I just couldn't do that. Changing jerseys, guys, you know, hey, yo, man, give me a call. Here's my number. You know, your agent's a number. It reeks for me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I loved about last year, and that's why I think the Celtics it got even better, was watching mean Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
The meaner he was, the more aggressive he was, the better this team. And then even with this year, I've seen a little nasty Tatum. I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? Tatum,
you think it's the Olympics? He's got a little chip on his shoulder?
I remember them. It was him and somebody else. They were wrestling for a loose ball.
Oh, a few games ago, I know you saw
it was like nothing. And he wanted the ball. He's pulling it. The other guys pulling it. They're going back. I was like, whoa, Jayson Tatum. Come on. I love it. Me, Jaylen. Come on.
Well, that's my problem too. Because I'm like, yo, like, people are thinking Tatum is soft because obviously, you know, Brandon Jennings came out and said, oh, we think Tatum is the softest, you know, superstar in Celtics history, which I think is insane to even say, because he's putting up numbers that some guys haven't put up, and that's not an opinion, that's a fact. And it's unbelievable to me that they could even, you know, act like that in that moment. But it is what it is. But I totally agree. I think that the more angry they play, the better they become. And I think that could set them apart. Like, obviously, we just seen, you know, Golden State have a run for the last 10 years where Draymond was getting in your face. Sometimes you get in the face of a teammates. But he was going to get into your face and say, hey, like, you're not punking us tonight, right? So that's we need more of that in today's NBA. I wanted to go back to your era again. So it's like, you know, you spoke about, you know, obviously how it was with your teammates, but you know, I want you to give some flowers to other guys in your era, because, you know, a lot of us in this era now, you know, that's in our 20s, early 30s, like we don't always appreciate the guys that came into the era for that. So just, you know, the floor is yours, man, but just other guys in the league at that time. And I have a few in my mind, but I would love to hear from your perspective, like who in your mind was a stone cold killer back in those days.
I played with him my last year, Akeem Olajuwon. I think, in my opinion, maybe the greatest player ever to play the game. And the reason I say that is because he controlled both ends of the floor better than anybody's ever done it. You know, you'd have some great defenders, like Bill Russell was a great defender, but offensively, Akeem could dominate on the defensive end, shut you down, and then go on the offensive end and dominate on the offensive end. I don't even know any player that compares to him. My favorite player at that time Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 33. I wore that in college because of Kareem. I just loved him that much as a player. Even though he's a Laker, I still have to give him credit.
I saw a Skyhooker too in your highlights. I saw one or two of those in there. Or maybe more.
Dr. J, I think the first time I ever guarded him, I was freaking petrified. I might as well have been a freaking maitre d'. And like, yo, that was a nice move. That was another nice move, dude. You know, I was like, who else was I, you know, enamored by? So many people. Marcus Johnson, people won't know who he was. He played for the Milwaukee Bucks.
He also a white man kid. No,
playing against Neek when he first got in, dominate, you know, the human. Probably Sean Kemp, another high flyer. To play one of my last years was Karl Malone's, kind of like his first year. Barkley, who he was for his size. How do you fit Shaq in? And I have a couple pictures with myself and Kobe right now. He was his last game in the Garden. I have a picture of he and I, and it was just really cool to kind of get a chance to not know him, but just kind of rub elbows with him. he'd see me at the game, he would speak, or his last game against the Celtics. So, yeah, those are the kind of players I remember. Elvin Hayes, who told me the first time I ever stepped on the court with him, said, "I'll bust a young man." Looking at me, damn, really? It's Dave Cowens, who's one of my favorites. Jojo White. I played with, John Havlicek's last year was my first year. So I could just look up at the Raptors and say, hey, my number is among the greatest players ever to play the game. And I still consider the Celtics the greatest professional basketball team around. Sorry, Lakers.
No, I mean, you're in the right room to say that.
How was that moment for you? Like, so obviously, you raised the Raptors in the late 90s. Like, what was that moment for you like?
And it was just really, it was surreal thinking about the players when I came in. Look, coming from Kinston, North Carolina, really didn't want to come to Boston because I was the 12th pick in the draft after the Celtics with Chicago.
I heard you were looking for Atlanta, right? Is that true?
Atlanta was right behind him because I was from the South. So I wanted to stay down South. But the Celtics took me, and the rest is history, My first game ever, my second year in the league, I'm averaging 20 and 10. And so I'm just killing it. And then we get this kid named some white kid, I remember he came on the floor, and I remember clapping my hands going, "Get Larry Bird, he's coming to us." I'm like, when I'm on this podium, I'm looking and going, Great White Hope, here we go. And like, what is this guy going to do for me? Hey, what is he going to do for me? And the first day of practice, that was our first day going against each other. I scored, he scored. I scored, he scored. It was just going back and forth. But then he started shooting further and further out. And the thing I learned that day was never judge a book by its color, by its cover. And I remember as soon as I left that floor, the first person of color I walked up to, I said, "You know what?" Pointed my finger at him. Was over there and said, "My fucking white guy can play." So that was my introduction to my stupidity about color and race. It's not, your skin tone, but it is what is actually in the man itself. And Larry was like that.
Yeah, no, that's great. I really said it was also a great team. So I want to get into a debate that always happens with, you probably know where I'm going with this. Just LeBron and Jordan, man. That those guys get pinned against each other for forever. So which player would you prefer, and just kind of go into that? Why would you pick one over the other?
Olajuwon.
Also, you get to the
Great answer. Great answer.
I mean, but I think both are great. Everybody talks about Jordan. Well, we don't talk about Jordan when his first couple years in the league when he got swept in the playoffs. Nobody talks about it. Nobody even that's like no.
Yeah, his career started in 1991. You didn't know?
And then when you look at LeBron, the thing that you do realize about him, I don't think he ever got swept. That I can remember, especially LeBron. And as much as I hate him as a Laker, but man, I got to give it up. He's 40 years old and still playing at a high level. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't even thinking about playing basketball when I was 40. I mean, I didn't even think about I wouldn't play my son in nerve basketball at 40 years old. I wasn't doing that. So why the hell would I be thinking about playing like regular basketball? And to see him go out and compete night after night, obviously the skill sets some of them are going away, but man, some of the ones he still has, it's just incredible.
It is. It's pretty crazy achievement watching him play with his kid. I mean, I never really thought I'd see that in my lifetime, to see a father and son on the basketball court at the same time. That's wild.
Well, the fact that I've talked to several people, Bronny's skill set is just not going to cut it in the NBA.
It's not.
It's not. And the reason,
unfortunate.
I'm not a hater, but if you're 6'1" in a league that has their guards are about 6'4", 6'.
Yeah, you better be the best passer in the league, right?
You better be the best shooter. You better have the most quickness. And I have not seen any of that from him. I've been hearing about the other son might be a better player than Bronny would ever think about for his size and his quickness and his speed. But Jordan is hard to go away from. To me, what I love about Jordan is he set the blueprint for the financial literacy in this league. And what he did, he would not take a 1-year deal. Say it was from Apple or whoever it might from. He said, no, I want to give me a 10-year deal, a commitment. And because of that, he developed partnerships. And then later on, guys did the same thing. Not Kareem, but Shaq. Shaq did the same thing. He would have clients and guys he worked for. He'd have a summit at his house during the summer. So I have to appreciate that. And as much as I hate to talk about Magic, Magic has done something to me. Basketball wise, I absolutely hate his ass. But from a standpoint of a human being and what he's done and the way he handled AIDS and what he's done for his community, the Black community, the way he's been financial literacy, excuse me, when I think that, what he's done and the Starbucks and the movie theaters and all these things he's been a part of. Now with the Commanders, the football team, he's just marketed himself in a whole nother way. And I hate him, but I have to give him his respect when it comes to what he's done, especially off the floor, the whole AIDS thing, how he just really galvanized the AIDS. Because I remember when he first got AIDS or HIV, I remember people saying that this guy was saying, Magic's going to die a horrible death. He's going to die very, very soon. Magic Johnson, Magic's still around right now and has prospered and has served his community, people of color, extremely well with his vision and how to go about things.
Do you think, obviously we all love it when the players are the ones reaping the benefits from the league doing well, right? Like in any sport, you want to see the guys actually putting the product on the floor, benefiting financially, benefiting like their families, everything. Like they're the guys doing the work. So we all love that. What is your opinion in general on this like player empowerment era? Has it overcorrected to the point of like, players turning around and saying, I don't want to play here anymore, and they're going to get traded if they do that. We see this whole saga going with Jimmy Butler right now, and obviously that the guys who run the Miami Heat organization are from a different era, right? They're not backing down as it stands right now, which I kind of do respect, but we're looking at this play out. KD wants to go to a new team every 2 years, like this kind of thing. And I love him as a player, but like, I understand when those criticisms come in of guys like that. What's your opinion on that? And like, what would it have been like in your era if guys started doing stuff like that?
Let's take the money out. Let's take the money out scenario.
Sure.
If you work for Apple, do you have a chance to go work for Microsoft if you wanted to? Could you leave the next day and say, I want to go, I don't want to be here? Who's going to say something like, oh my God, you're spoiled at that? No. So free agency in the NBA, they fought for it. And the players, you talk about the players being empowered. Well, how about the Celtics? The Celtics team was bought for $369 million. That team is now valued about $6 billion. So player empowerment, but also the governors of the league have made a lot of money in this league in the way it is performed.
That's a good point.
So I'm not sure about being overcompensated. I understand, but nobody's ever going to pay you more than they can afford to pay you. To give you guys some advice, if somebody ever asks you, like people ask me all the time about speaking, and they'll say, well, yeah, could you speak to my group? And how much will it cost me? The thing you always say is, how much is in your budget? You don't say, you don't give them a price because they might be giving you more than you asked for.
Yeah.
But if they give you less than you're thinking about, you can tell them. But if you say, what's in your budget? If it's $10,000, you're going, oh, yeah, I can take that. But if they came back and they said, well, we'll pay you $100, not be a snooty. No, that won't work for me. I'm sorry, that won't work for me. So give you guys some advice about, negotiating and what you're going to do, especially when it comes to finance or if somebody ever asks you to do a job, I always say, how much is it going to cost me to have you guys on? I said, what's in your budget?
Yeah, it's a good answer.
And when it's like that, there's little wiggle room, because if they tell you a number, that number doesn't hit you, they're fine. But then again, what happens if they give you a number that you weren't prepared to hear? It's like, how was they going to ask for that? And they gave it to me. So yeah, that's some pearls of wisdom I'm giving you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, really appreciate it. But I think just stay right there with the Jimmy thing, right? So yes, of course, like I said, if you take the money out of it, like I said, obviously he's probably not anyway. You mentioned not being happy. Like we said, Pat Riley's not going to budge. But just
wait a minute, I mean to cut you off, but who the hell is not happy in Miami and you're making $50 million?
well, right, no, exactly. But you're right. And I lived up there so I know. But what's crazy about it. He said that. He said, I'm in the presser. He was like, I'm happy with Miami off the court, which I don't blame him, because like I said, Miami's
yeah.
yeah,
He's probably having a pretty good Tuesday,
But obviously he's not happy with the organization. But I'm like, what do you say to that type of player, or just players in general, that it's like, look, if you sign for the deal that you thought it was worth at the time, what's wrong with honoring it?
Yeah, that really is true. But what happens when the team makes it, off your back, makes a lot more than they thought they were going to make?
Right.
Are they going to up the ante? Are they going to say, hey, you know what? Why don't we share some of this money with you? I mean, I look at the thing that happened in LA with the Clippers owner, Donald Sterling, at the time. You know who lost? You know who really got jacked up in that whole situation? It wasn't Donald Sterling. It wasn't the NBA. It was the young lady who told. She ended up losing the house, the car, all that stuff she had because she opened her mouth.
Yeah.
What happened with the NBA? Donald Sterling bought the team.
They didn't take it from him, right? He sold it. Like they didn't just take it.
No,
from him. Like he made that money.
He bought the team for $17 million. They forced him to sell the team for $2 billion.
Oh, tough day.
And tell you, thank you. And tell you not to come. And tell you not to come to the game. You're going, well, okay. I guess I can't come to the game then. And every franchise, because of that $2 million tag, their value went up. So the NBA, this is kind of just out there, but the NBA, all the teams' values increased. The players got more money. Mm-hmm. Everything happened. The only one who really got jacked up was the lady who told on Donald Sterling. She lost she was out there with skates and showed her Mercedes, and she had a townhouse out. And the wife went in and said, yo, give me the keys to that. No, you ain't, no, you ain't get that. So I don't know where she's at right now. But I know one thing, she's probably thinking right now, man, if I just had not opened my damn mouth, I'd still be on damn Easy Street right now.
That's a different scenario in the
What?
I don't know. I just think, like I said, I'm just big on just honoring to what you signed, and then, like I said, have those. Once again, Pat Riley. I mean, listen, he let go of Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm.
He let go of LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's like even Alonzo Mourning had to leave.
He didn't let go of LeBron. LeBron decided to leave. LeBron went back to Cleveland. So he didn't let go of him. Now, D Wade was another story that, he's like, look, our team is bad, and I'm going to let you out of this, let you go play someplace else. That I'm not going to say, and I respect Pat Riley, but Pat Riley ain't doing nobody no favors unless the favor is back on the other side. So by letting D Wade go, you probably save money.
He's making business decisions always.
But this whole thing with Jimmy Butler, to me, it's a no-win situation for Jimmy, because one, the general media and the general public is going to look at you crazy.
Right?
How are you not happy in Miami playing when you were happy before? and you make $49 million this year, and you have a guaranteed contract of $50 million next year, and you want an extension. Jimmy, you're older now. Your game and everything else is starting to go like everybody else is starting to go downhill. So we're not going to give you that extension that you want. Pat Riley said, this guy played 52 games last year. Why am I going to give him a max deal? I said, I need a guy playing 75 games for me to even think about it. So
you also got to be sure that if Jimmy Butler's the best player on your team, that you can win a championship with that. And that hasn't really proven to be true so far. Right. So it's like, are you getting superstar money, Jimmy, still? Like, is that fair to ask? I don't know.
50 million is superstar money.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're getting paid, but you want an extension. But Jimmy, that's not going to happen. You're starting to be an older player right now. Eventually, you're going to have to take the sawdust. You ain't always going to get the loans. You're going to have to take the sawdust. And your role is going to be reduced as you get to be older. I watched mine from my second year where I played a ton of minutes. And then later on in my career where I was playing behind Akeem and other guys. So, yeah, those things, you're going to have to put your ego in check. And that's the biggest thing.
I'll tell you what Jimmy Butler should do.
Put them in check.
What Jimmy Butler should do, I got some sage advice once. He should go to Pat Riley and he should say, "What's in your budget? What's in your budget?
Yeah,
how do we work together?"
That would be true, but he's going to say what Jimmy's asking for. He's already asked for the max. So he's already taking himself out of that scenario about how much money he's going to get. And now the franchise has a black eye because of your relationship or lack of relationship with Pat Riley and the team.
Right. So what about our team, right? Because obviously everyone came back, this year, with the exception of O'Shea Brissett. So,
how the hell did he do that?
I don't know. I mean, especially once again, but like we said this when we spoke to Drew Carter a few weeks ago. It's like you got 2.6 on the table, and you and the agent say, "Hey, that's not it." Like,
here, take this back.
Yeah, it's like that to me. When you have a chance to feed your family and, keep playing and get you another opportunity, like, to me, that was insane. Like, to me, the agent would have been on the spot. But, to that point, obviously everyone's come back. Everyone got an extension after winning the championship. You played for a general manager / owner that was, that was loyal to players for the most part. Brad seems to be loyal to this era as well. So, do you suggest they make a minor move, or are you fine with them keeping the team constructed as is?
That's a good question. I love the players they have right now, but I still would like maybe the guy one of the last guys that they cut. I wish they had kept him, Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker is a bucket getter. He's over in Europe right now. Can you bring him back? So I would like to give me a legitimate bucket getter when Brown and Tatum are off the floor.
Wing help. I feel like we've been talking about wing help for years, just like a little bit of leg help for those guys on the wing, just a little athleticism off the bench go a long way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I to me, people keep screaming like what's the kid from Utah, but I'm like, Danny's not giving him up. I know he's not. The Walker Kessler, like, there's no way. There's no way that Danny gives him up. Not
unless he gets something big back.
Yeah, not here. Not here.
What is Walker Kessler going to do for you here?
I think when fans
we need you. You want a wing guy that can score the ball for you.
Well, people are doing
do. He's not a scorer. He's not a scorer. So you're not. You already have Kada and people like that who don't score the basketball. I think that, again, you're looking for a legitimate bucket getter. I think that's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, hopefully they do that. Because, like I said, it's like I say, it's been a little unsettling to see how they played recently. But
I give you that all day.
All good teams, go through, rough stretches. It's just, again, we care more. So it's like That's just how it is. But before we close out, I just want to get into it. They got about 5 or 6 games before the All-Star break. So just what are you looking to see from them going into the break, and then we'll close out.
Obviously, winning tomorrow night's game, going down to New Orleans, who has been a bad team, but New Orleans almost beat you a couple of weeks ago. Just how they play in this last week. They've been one of the best road teams around. And then obviously playing Philly, who has struggled. But after that, you're going to have a huge game against the team in front of you is going to be Cleveland. So I want to see how they play. If they need to get was that movie one time, Stella Got a Groove Back. Well, that's what they need. They need to get their groove back, and especially at home. What somebody said I'm not sure. Have they lost 5 games in a row at home? Is that right?
I don't know if it's 5 in a row.
I know it's 5.
I know we're like 0-6, like off a win or something. I saw some weird stat like that coming back home, which isn't great.
I trust them on the road. I have the last 2 seasons. They've closed out series on the road. They got to the finals on the road, both times. So I have no worry. And to me, that was always a mark of a good team. Can you go into someone's building and say, "Hey, not tonight"? And for the most part, they do that. Just to me, as someone who played on teams that would dominate at home, you won both of your finals on the floor, on the home floor. So I don't know. But to me, I want to see them be better at home, personally.
Well, we won one of the finals, 1981. We won that actually on the road.
Oh, that's all right.
My thing I used to love as a road team, I always used to love, and this could be bitter or whatever, but I used to love when we made kids cry. I love that. Comes to the game. He said, "Oh my God, I live for that." Oh my God, the kids behind me crying about the game. Oh, they're like, "Dad, take him home." It's like, hurry up, beat the traffic, because this is not going to end. This is not going to end pretty. So I used to love.
You guys are just handing out life lessons, that's just a life lesson. You got to take that on board.
Playing on the road. I love it. Oh my God, I love when you go on the road and you have some kids crying. Oh my God, it's to make my day. So yeah, but I want to thank you guys, man, for having me on.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no, that was a perfect way to end. So, for DK Sizzle, for Cedric Maxwell, I'm live with Rayshawn Buchanan. Until next time, we'll see you. Peace.
For those of you who dream of a world where music and podcasts live together in perfect harmony, now for the first time, Electricast gives you a magical compilation, Pod Till You Drop, Volume 1, where we give you the best in tunes and the best in podcasts. Feast your ears and hear the culture. Available now wherever you listen to music.
Hey, heard you like podcasts? Well, check out Dollar Bets. 2 sports guys with faces for radio, betting live money against each other on air. That's Dollar Bets with a Z. Find us on the Winner's Edge.
Electricast.